Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the M Word. My name is Robin. I'm the technical director here at Man & Machine in the UK, and as ever, it's a pleasure to have you with me this afternoon. It's warm in here today, not outside, but warm in this room. I've whacked the heating right up because it's usually freezing in our recording studio here, which is right at the back of the office. Really warm today. So if it looks flustered, either it's because I'm showing something new, or it's quite hot. So we'll see which one it is. But thank you for joining us today. Those of you that are new to this session, please give us a big like, give us a subscribe, and hit the little bell so the notifications are turned on so you can see when we go live. We do these sessions every week for anywhere between 20 minutes and half an hour, sharing a workflow or a new feature, a tip, trick, something that we really hope will drive some productivity in your day-to-day work in the design world, whether it's in the construction space, manufacturing space, using something like Revit, using something like Inventor, 3ds Max, VRED, or SketchUp. Any of those tools that we sell, service, and support here at Man & Machine. That's kind of what we do with these sessions. So hopefully something that you'll find useful. Something a bit different today. We very regularly focus on the Autodesk toolsets and purely the Autodesk toolsets because that's typically what we mainly push here at Man & Machine. But our good colleagues over at ElmTech, who are a reseller of SketchUp, amongst other things, approached me with regards to Sketchup Studio, which is a subscription that alongside the base SketchUp Pro, you get a load of additional features, such as the ability to import a Revit file and collaborate on that file natively inside of SketchUp. Also comes with V-Ray, and some point cloud tools in there, which is really, really beneficial. Maybe we'll focus on those another day. But when he mentioned this ability to import Revit directly into SketchUp, it kind of got me thinking and doing a little bit of research on why is this useful? Why might someone want to use this? Well, firstly, I'm sure many of you in the construction space out there are already using SketchUp in your workflows because it's quick, it's easy to model. You can really quickly throw conceptual shapes together. You can throw conceptual designs together to get ideas down in a model that you can walk around, that you can render inside of one of the Chaos products like Enscape or V-Ray. So in the SketchUp Studio subscription. It's great. And actually, there's not that much that's better from my own personal perspective. So So when we work in Revit, everything is very structured, very powerful, very intelligent. But because of that, sometimes the smaller edits or the conceptual modeling or the freeform just takes us a little bit longer inside of Revit. So to have this workflow where I can bring my Revit digital design across into SketchUp and leverage those fast tools, it's great, it's incredible, and it's something that I want to spend some time demonstrating with you this afternoon. If you like what you see today, please reach out to elmtechcreate.shop is their website where you can get your SketchUp subscriptions amongst other bits and pieces as well. Reach out to Kyle, he can sort you out and give you some help and support if you need it. And hopefully I do the guys proud today, especially Adam, who's going to probably watch my SketchUp skills between clenched teeth, but he'll let me off, I'm sure. So let's just share my screen. And we're going to start in Revit. So if you are joining me for the first time because maybe you're a SketchUp user and you don't typically watch my kind of Autodesk feeds, I like to start things from scratch. The reason I like to start things from scratch is there's so many tutorials and videos and clips out there that really are eye candy. They start with a really nice, sexy model. They bring that model across. Yay, it looks great. But it's very difficult to appreciate how they got to that point. Or actually, did that really work? Was it as straightforward as it looked? And especially with this tool, I really wanted to show you how easy it is. So I am literally going to start from scratch, draw a couple of very simple rooms inside of Revit and push it live across to SketchUp to show you how quickly that the geometry comes in as optimized shapes natively inside of the SketchUp interface. So inside of Revit, I'm going to be really, really rough and ready. I'm just going to not talk through this massively, to be honest. I'm just going to draw pretty much by eye something that represents a building. Again, I really don't care about the actual setup of this and exactly what it looks like. I just want something that's got some geometry that I can use inside of the SketchUp space. So I've drawn some external walls. I've placed a floor on there. Maybe we want to have a couple of internal rooms just to separate this up when we go across into SketchUp. So let's just draw some stud work. Maybe have a wall across there and maybe a wall across here as well. Lovely. Let's just align these up so it looks a little bit nicer, like so. And we'll just add some very basic windows using the default families in Revit. Nothing exciting. Let's have one there, one in the middle there, on the side here. And then maybe a bigger one over here, just because we can, like so. So we'll add some doors. There we go, the door tool. Let's place some basic doors. Let's have one coming into this space. Maybe we'll have a slightly bigger door coming into this space in here, and a slightly smaller door coming into this. Fine. So we've got something that is representative of a building. I will add a ceiling in each of these spaces here. And then I will go on to my level 1 floor plan and just add a simple roof. We'll just do a 250mm overhang for this roof, turn off my slopes, and just do a pretty flat roof. Maybe this is going to be a really simple single-story building, office, something like that. That's fine. I'm going to select this one here and just define maybe a slope of, I don't know, 3mm, something like that, 3 degrees. Let's attach my walls, and there we have it. We've got our simple building inside of Revit. Nothing overly complicated, a really, really simple shape. So it's from scratch. You've seen that I've literally modeled this up from the start to finish using native Revit models. And I'm going to save this away on my desktop. I'm just going to call it Project 1. The RVT, save to my desktop, and I'm going to go ahead and press save. And at that point, I'm going to flip over to SketchUp Studio. SketchUp Studio looks very much the same as SketchUp Pro. We just have some additional tools. So I've got a load of extra tools on the top of my screen. A lot of these are with regards to point cloud features. And I've also got some embedded non-extension tools that are just inherently native inside of the SketchUp Pro interface, like my import to Revit. Let's have a swig of tea. Again, if you don't have SketchUp Studio already, give our friends at elmtechcreate.shop a shout and they'll be able to help you out. But from my file menu, I'm just going to come down and hit import. So if you're using SketchUp already, the import is the same as importing any geometry. Why would I want to use a Revit import rather than, say, a DWG import or an IFC import? Just easier. IFC is brilliant for digital design. If you're working on a UK construction project or even an international construction project and you're following BIM standards, IFC is fantastic to collaborate and share when you hit that nail in the ground between design stages, between data drops, or whatever it might be. But it does have its limitations. What we're doing here is we're bringing in native Revit geometry. So as a designer, maybe I, as a user, am using both SketchUp and Revit on my PC at the same time. Or maybe you're sharing them externally. Either way, whichever way you look at it, we're working with the native geometry. So we don't have to worry about incorrect categorization of objects. We don't need to worry about faces becoming faceted or anything like that, especially with curved surfaces. So I come across to my desktop, and here's the file created just a few minutes ago at 14:07. I'm going to select it here and click import. And at this point, SketchUp Studio will read my Revit file. It's quite small. I've just drawn a few very simple pieces of geometry, so reading it is quite quick. If it's a bigger file that's got more going on, it will take a bit longer to read the file. Just be patient with it. And eventually, it will give you this import screen. The way that this works is using a 3D view. So inside of the Revit environment, we have our project browser on the bottom left. And in here, we have a number of 3D views. A 3D view in Revit allows you to control what's visible, what isn't visible, how things are displayed, and so on. SketchUp is going to use that 3D view to import the objects into the Revit space. We also have the ability to import the Revit data should we want it in there as well. So if you've got specific properties against a wall that you want to leverage inside of SketchUp, you can bring them in. If you've got specific properties against a component that you want to be able to look through and read, we can bring them in. It's as simple as that. Press import. The object will be imported and converted into SketchUp geometry. So we have an optimized model that comes into our SketchUp space. And a couple of things that you will instantly notice is the textures are coming across mapped correctly. So this looks pretty much the same as it looks inside of Revit. So here's the model in Revit. You can see all of my textures mapped. Let me just change this to a nice realistic view in Revit. And you will see that the textures look like so. I have some basic masonry and some basic concrete and timber. Inside of SketchUp, the model looks the same. It gives me a bit of an overview as to what it's imported. And there we have my Revit model inside of my SketchUp interface. My materials look correct. The sizing is 1:1. It's correct. Everything's come across the way that I wanted it. If we select this model, you can see that it's come across as a lump. It's come across as a group. But I can also double click into this to start coming in and isolating and selecting different components. This is where we can select a wall object inside of Revit and start getting its entity information at the top right of the screen. You can come in and start extracting more information and those Revit properties through that interface should you want to. I don't really care about that for today, so I'm not going to focus on it. But you've got the ability to drill down into the individual components inside of Revit and look at their information. So, okay, once this is in, what can I do with it then? Well, simply put, I can just model in here directly inside of SketchUp. I can use SketchUp for what it's good for, which is very fast, accurate modeling that allows me to conceptualize a space, maybe add some more detail to a space without bogging down the Revit model. I really like it for visualization. I use Enscape a lot. If I want to, I can leverage the fact that SketchUp Studio comes with V-Ray. I can add some further detail, maybe some wall paneling or some skirting boards or some coving or whatever it might be. Things that I wouldn't necessarily want to bog down into my Revit file. I can add that in here. I can conceptualize it. I can visualize it. I can make those really quick design changes aside from my architectural work to really get a handle on my space and see what's going on. I'm going to caveat this with I'm not a SketchUp user. So it's not the most natural tool to me, but it is easy to use. So hopefully you'll let me off. And again, if you're like me, not a SketchUp user, reach out to our guys at Elm Tech because they'll be able to give you some training. So from here, I'm just going to put on a section view. So let's go to my tools drop down and find section plane. And let's put a section on this little wall here. Let's just, section plane 1 is fine for a name, and we'll just move that section plane into the room just so I'm looking at this space just here. Once we've got a view into our room, we can then come in and start adding some detail to this particular section. So from here, I'm going to say, do you know what? I want to add some skirting board, just as an example I've just given. So let's go ahead and add that in. So let's just zoom and orbit round. Look at the bottom left of my room down here, and I'm just going to come in and draw a rectangle. I'm going to be very inaccurate because in these videos, the benefit I have is I can be inaccurate because I don't have to do it to scale necessarily. But I'm just going to do a really simple extruded rectangle and come all the way along and send that across to my door frame just here. That then gives us that shape, which we can see and use there inside of the SketchUp space. That's that shape. Again, because we're working in SketchUp, I can really easily start assigning materials. So let's come in and start looking at maybe a wooden material in here. Let's grab this, this default wood. Let's pick up my paint bucket and choose to place that default wood onto my spaces that I've just created inside of the model, just like that. From here, maybe I want to add some detail to this wall. Maybe I want to put some wall paneling on there. Again, wouldn't really necessarily want that in Revit. It's potentially going to slow the model down. I'm not going to embarrass myself and try and model that up from scratch. I can use the benefit that SketchUp comes with the fantastic 3D warehouse where you can access manufacturer's information, you can access other users' information, and download pre-made content. So let's come in here and just say wall panel. Let's give that a search, see if it comes up with anything. We've got a number. These acoustic panels look nice. I kind of need some of those inside of this room. Sometimes it's a bit echoey. But actually, let's place this one. Interior green wall. There we go. Let's download that. This is a configurable product, which is quite nice from a SketchUp perspective. So when I can place this into my model, it will allow me to configure it within my space. So if I place this green panel just onto this wall, I then get this live component configurator, which you get with some of these components from the 3D warehouse, where I can come in and tweak and customize the size of this. I'm not overly fussed about doing that. What I have on the screen here is more than adequate for what I want. And I'm just going to say, do you know what? I'm happy with the detail that's put in there. Maybe we'll also add a bit of a partition in here as well. So let's go back to that 3D warehouse and let's go and search for partition or whatever it might be. Let's try and find something that's quite nice. Pick up that one and download that and place it directly into my model and place that on my mouse somewhere over here. Now, once that's placed, maybe I'm just going to rotate it round. So let's just grab my protractor tool here and just spin that round by, that was really inaccurate. Let's just spin that around by 90 degrees. And then let's move it by the corner over here and just snap it to my skirting board. So we've got something that looks like that. And again, you can just see that I've got the ability to use these tools quickly and easily. Even if I'm doing some space planning and I think, okay, well, I might want to have a desk around about there, I can just use these really quick conceptual tools inside of SketchUp to just get a handle on what it is that I want in this space and how it's going to work. And yes, I appreciate I'm being very, very inaccurate here, but you get the kind of picture of how powerful this workflow is. We can take a Revit model, no matter how detailed that Revit model is, SketchUp will import it. It will look fantastic. It will be to scale, and it will be exactly what you want it to be inside of that space. We can leverage that if we want to, and even do subtle tweaks to that if we want to inside of the SketchUp interface. But more importantly, we can bring our inner designer out, make use of the SketchUp tools, whether it's to add detail manually because we're a SketchUp designer, whether it's to start conceptualizing a space rapidly with a group of people around a screen using the conceptual tools that we all know and love inside of SketchUp. or whether it's leveraging powerful assets from the 3D library, or any of those other tools, we can do this quickly and accurately inside of this SketchUp space using that accurate optimized model that Revit import brings. From here, if I wanted to go and Enscape this, again, I could just come in and start my Enscape extension. Just going to do that really quickly just to finish this off. If I can pull it across onto my other screen. Yes, I could do Enscape directly from Revit as well, should I want to. But again, something that I quite like inside of SketchUp is how easy it is to change the materials and make tweaks, as opposed to the slightly longer process that takes inside of Revit. So in a nutshell, it's easy to bring a Revit model into into SketchUp. It's one click, choose the view, let it do its thing, and it's in. We can then add to that. We can embellish that with further detail. We can go to town with our design skills to make that file as we want. We then have a SketchUp file that we could share back to the Revit space, should we want to, just with the SketchUp geometry to bring that back into Revit, should we need to. That might be useful if you're doing a facade or if you're doing some internal paneling or whatever it might be. As part of the design workflow, it works really well. The likelihood is, if you're an architect, you've probably got some SketchUp. You've probably, hopefully, got some Revit. Using these products together in this way can really boost your productivity. And it can just dramatically reduce the amount of time it takes you to do a thing. The fact that we have this one button import inside of Sketchup Studio, it just gives you the ability inside of that space to save yourself hours, if not days of time redrawing something, going through something like a DWG import or an IFC import, spending a little bit more on a SketchUp Studio subscription to enable the import from Revit might just save you precious time on that project. What does that do? Well, certainly it makes your design life easier, but it opens up your ability to finish that product or that project sooner, which then opens you up to be able to do more projects or spend more time designing rather than waiting for progress bars or going through manual rework. And from that perspective, I really like it. You've seen how easy it is. It does not need training. It's one button. You can import that Revit file in seconds if it's as simple as mine, maybe minutes if it's a bit more complicated. And it works really, really nice. If you don't want to click import, you can just drag and drop it if you want to as well. So really fantastic workflow. And kind of that's all I wanted to show you. Huge benefit. It's inside of SketchUp Studio. Sorry, nearly said the wrong thing there. It's inside of SketchUp Studio. So if you haven't already, reach out and hopefully this is something that can really save you time and effort as we move forward. And that is all I wanted to show. So if you think about what you've seen on this channel over the past couple of weeks, we've used Autodesk Forma and Autodesk Revit to show you how we can go from very early master planning site design, get that across into Revit to get your topography, to get your basic buildings, your concepts that we can start then detailing on. I've now shown you an additional workflow to that and a powerful workflow with SketchUp Studio where we can then take things to the next level. We can take that model then from Revit across into SketchUp to be able to go through and work with your design-based workflows inside of the SketchUp space. And yes, absolutely, if we want to go back from here the other way and get this back into the Autodesk ecosystem, you already know the workflows from SketchUp to be able to do that. I really hope that's been useful. If you haven't already, give us a like, give us a subscribe. More importantly, give us a comment, let us know what you'd like to see, and we will do another video next time and hopefully cover off some different productive tools that you want to see. Until then, have a productive rest of your week. Have a look at SketchUp Studio, and yeah, hopefully you can get better at modeling than I am inside of SketchUp, but benefit from these time-saving tools and really get your work done quicker. Thank you very much for your time. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye. Oh, my outro button's still not there. That's 2 weeks in the trot. My outro button's not there, so I am going to go, but I'm going to get the button pressed over there.